All right, so in this video, the idea is to apply value to your drawing. So this is your completed, I'm not 100% complete, but say this is your completed 3-point perspective drawing. And as of now, it's a contour line drawing. So that means there's no value applied to the planes of the forms. I'm going to show you how to apply value to the planes of the form at the same time to keep the integrity of a contour line drawing. Because there's some beautiful marks from the contour lines that I want to retain. And so in order to show you how to go about applying value, I'm just going to do a couple little demonstrations. And I'm going to talk about your pencils. So everybody should have a range of pencils. I have these, I think these are student grade Faber-Castell pencils, just a general pack. It goes from 4H, which is your hardest, and if you kind of look closely, it says 4H there. This is the hardest pencil that I have. H means hard, and the next one up is 2H right here, and the one between there is H, and then there's an HB, which is right here, and then there's B, and there's 2B. And I also have a 4B somewhere, but I don't want to use that. I'm only going to go as soft as my 2B. That's for applying lines. When I'm applying value, I'm only going to use these 3 hard pencils. The reason being, and if you can see here, this is made with just these 3 pencils here. Reason being is I want the harder graphite just to put a subtle tone on top of the, just to suggest value structure on top of this drawing. I'm going to go back in and reapply some of the lines on top of the value structure. Sorry, my dog is with me. He's playing with a squeaky toy and it's distracting me. So you're going to use these softer pencils to reapply, as you can see I did here. I reapplied the line and I went through the point of intersection. So the line plays a role in the final composition as well. So there's a combination of line and value in this drawing, and that's the idea. So I'm going to take my softer pencils, put them on the side for the minute, and just use my harder pencils. Whenever I use my pencils, I put them in my hand, and I'm always checking which pencil I'm using. In this case, when I'm drawing something, well, I'll get to that in 1 second. First, I'm going to go here. I think I had this upside down. I'm going to draw here and just discuss a few things, some very, very basic value structure fundamentals, okay? So imagine a light source. You have a sun here and it's shining down, rays shining down on this guy here. I'm not going to put cast shadows in. That's going to be for another video. This is just kind of applying general value to the form. So if there's a sun shining rays, whatever, a light source of some sort, what I'm going to do now is show you what values go where. The top plane here, this is going to be your lightest value because the sun's hitting that top plane. So I'm going to put a number 1 here, okay? This is if the sun's coming from this angle, this is going to be your second value in terms of out of 3 values, this will be your number 2. And then this value here would be a number 3. Now, that being said, anything facing this direction is going to be a number 2 of all these forms that you see here. I'm just going to take this guy. So, drawing all these planes here. So this 2, that means that's a 2. That means that's a 2. That's a 2. That's a 2. Okay? 3s, that's a 3. 1s, that's a 1. This is a 3. This is a 2 back here. This is a 3. And this is going to be, this is a tricky one because this shadow will probably be a casted shadow here, but right now we're just going to give it a number 1. But there would be, if there's a cast shadow, this plane here would be a little darker, but it's going to be applied through the cast shadow. Again, that's another video. Now there's one more plane that I haven't discussed. Oh, I forgot to put a 3 here. There is this bottom plane that's suspended in air. I'm going to put a number 4 here, and that would mean this gets a 4, and under here would be a 4. So I have 4 values overall. I know I said 3, but that was just talking about that one. So I have 4 values overall. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick little drawing of a small cube, and I'm going to use my softer pencil just to kind of get something going here. So it's just going to be a little tiny parallel line drawing cube, just like you see below. And it's not a cube, it's more of a rectangle, but maybe it's cube-like. All right, so to kind of go through what we just said, this is gonna be a number 1, 2, and a 3. Okay, as you can see here, that's a 1 value, 2 value, and 3 value. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna apply my hardest pencil, and I'm going to hit the entire, all 3 planes, all 3 surfaces. And with the harder pencil, you can see how light this is compared to the contour lines that I put down originally. Just trying to kind of fill this in even, so it's a nice even application. So that number 1 is a value, it still gets a value. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the 3 and the 2 again with the same pencil. And I'm not applying more weight, I'm just applying the same pencil, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my number, my 2H, this is a 4H that I was just drawing with. Now I'm gonna get my 2H and I'm gonna apply it over the 3. As I'm doing this, I'm rotating the paper and applying these values in different directions each time. Now, that's not a big jump between the 3 and the 2. What I can do is I can try to layer it one more time, but if nothing really happens, then I'm gonna jump to my next pencil, which is an H. So I'm going from a 4H, a 2H, to an H. Yes, they make a 3H. They don't make a 1H. An H is a 1H. So right now I'm just gonna hit this one more time with my H, and you can see that it made it a little bit darker. I don't wanna make it too dark because I want a nice gradual shift from this to this to this. Now, it looks a little messy, and what's nice about the contour line reapplication is that you can just kind of throw back in. I'm using a soft pencil now, and I like to keep my pencil sharp. Hey, Birdie, stop. My dog. Bad idea to have my dog in the video. All right, so draw lines straight up, right on the those lines that I had here previously. I'm just reapplying these lines. I'm visually making these parallel somewhat. And now when you're drawing with your, hold on a second. Okay, so you can kind of see after I put those lines in, it doesn't look as messy. It cleans it up because it kind of clarifies the edge a little bit more. And that's when we're going to work with that final drawing. When we have this beautiful contour line drawing, we don't want to ruin that, but I just want to add a little bit of flavor of value. Now I'm looking at this, maybe this was a little too dark, who knows? You can always lighten that up. You can always get a kneaded eraser if you make something too dark, and you can always lighten something up and then reapply it. The kneaded eraser sometimes just takes a layer off. Maybe that's too light now, but then I can take a pencil and then apply another value there. Okay, how do I apply this here? Same thing, I'm gonna go back to my 4H pencil. I'm gonna work with this guy first, and I'm just gonna take my time and try to stay within the edges of the planes. When I fill value in, I always like to put my hand resting against the surface. It stabilizes the hand, and I can just kind of lock my fingers and use my wrist somewhat to apply consistent lines throughout. And you can see, this is just a nice light base coat. Just putting one coat down, one layer. Value application is all about layers. So that first top layer is done, right? I'm gonna take my 2H, and I'm just gonna, in a different direction, put another value here. Oh my God, my dog. Birdie, stop it. Thank you. And I'm not pressing hard, I'm just applying a nice even layer of value. And you can see that there's not much of a difference between this one and that one. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go in a different direction. In this case, I'm gonna go with the angle of the plane. And I'm just kind of throwing that value to be just a little bit darker, and I have to hit this side, but I'm gonna go with the value of the plane as well. Okay, now I have these two that are the same. If I were to apply more values with this without pressing hard, it's not gonna make much of a difference. So now I'm gonna step up to my, not my 2B, my H, wherever my H went to. Oh, here it is. I also have an HB, just so you know, an HB is softer than an H. So if I need to use my HB, I can, but in this case, I think my H is gonna be fine. So I'm just kind of rotating my paper a little bit just to get, I'll probably put 2 layers of this on, 2 real light layers. So there's one. Now I'm gonna put another one going in this direction. Now, I usually don't put the numbers on because the numbers are just gonna, every time you overlap with a pencil, it's gonna get darker and darker. So that number 2 got darker, that number 1 got darker, number 3 kind of got darker, but I just left them in just for clarity for the video, purpose of the video. So now I'm gonna go back in with a soft, sharp pencil, and I think I used a 2B last time, but instead of jumping up to a 2B, I'm gonna see what a B does. I already sharpened it. I'm just gonna overlap some of these lines, and I like to go past a point of intersection, meaning I go past these corners when I put this line in. It just adds like an architectural element, and like an architectural drawing. If you look at architectural drawings, they're really beautiful. Structural, it just kind of adds to the structure and to the human touch of mark making, where you can kind of go back. And you can see I do a nice fade out as well. Kind of fade out that line. It's like a flick of the wrist. And I'm gonna put these lines back in there. Now, when I teach drawing from observation and we apply value, I do the opposite. I do not tell students to put lines back in. This is only because this is kind of a, as I mentioned, an architectural-like drawing, and it just kind of fits the concept. So that is it there. So that is, form is complete. Now, if you want to do something rounded like this, instead of having these hard edges here, there's no longer that edge there. Then it has to be a gradual shift of value from a 1 to a 3. So it would basically be 1, and then it would transition into a 2, and then transition into a 3, a soft fade. And I will do that on the next video.